Hi, I'm here with Matthew Unchurch, Chairman and CEO of Virtuoso, and we're at the Virtuoso Symposium in Vancouver, and this is Insider Travel Videos. Now, Matthew, we've had a great conference here at the symposium at Virtuoso, and there are a couple of topics I wanted to talk with you about, and one is sort of the global expansion of Virtuoso. You've been expanding a lot over the past few years to a lot of different countries. In fact, I believe you announced some more expansion into Asia. Why are you looking particularly in those areas, and why did you add those members?
Well, actually, to be clear, we started growing internationally 17 years ago, right. So it's been a long time. So we went into Latin America first, then we went to Australia, New Zealand. We opened up Europe 3.5 years ago, and then we've just expanded into Asia about 1.5 years ago. We just added a whole nother group of members. We just added Japan, Taiwan, Korea, and mainland China as new Asian members. But the reason we're doing that is that I have always felt from the very beginning that in the luxury sector, when you're not looking at the global citizen and the luxury traveler, if you think about, so many other luxury products and you see them all around the world, we just felt that was an important, when you're going after like the top 5% of the population, these are global citizens. And it's panned out incredibly well, as different economies and different things grow. The support of our membership, it's made our hotel program stronger, and it also has some very practical advantages. I mean, for example, our Australian membership has more than doubled, very, very strong. Australia represents like 30-some-odd% of all arrivals to Bali. Right? North America is only like 8%. So when you have those members in Australia that book all those top hotels, they get to, we get to borrow their buying power. The Aussies, who now are really hot on Mexico, right, get to buy on the buying power of the Americans, the Canadians, and the Mexicans.
Yeah. What qualifies and what do you look for in an agency member from an international perspective?
It's really not. It's not very different from what it's always been. First of all, it's by invitation. We look at references. They already have to have a solid base of luxury business. What's interesting is that the business models. I don't know how many more years. Maybe the word agency, just like agent, will live on forever. But the reality is that we don't just look at traditional agencies. We look at organizations that are sort of in the life experience business, right? So we have concierge companies. We have all kinds of different models, because around the world there's different models. There's different things, just like in the U.S. But what we have in common are people that truly can serve based on an advisory basis. There are some non-negotiables. You cannot have a business model that does not allow for interaction on every booking. Now, a customer may choose not to use interact. You may have an online booking tool or this or that, but they have to have the opportunity to have a fully engaged advisor with every single booking.
Yeah. Now, does all this global growth mean that there's no more growth available in the U.S. and North America?
Oh my gosh, no. I mean, it's grown. I mean, we showed that we had the largest growth in the number of advisors. The number of agencies, the number is in the U.S. and Canada is actually relatively flat, but that's part of it because of consolidation. But if you look at, there are new models coming. There's new entrepreneurial models. But what's really exciting is the number of advisors. That's the number we really keep track of. And we grew the number of advisors globally by 30% last year. I mean, it's a huge number. But what the really cool part of it is that 55% of that growth was from existing members. So as you know, we have been focusing on how to develop the advisor, how to develop advisors since 2001. And if you were to ask me what is the single thing that I'm the most proud of this organization over the last 15 years, is that we set it out as our mission statement 16 years ago. And today, the amount of career switchers, young people that we've brought into the business and our members have developed is incredible.
Yeah, it is amazing, and you really, I believe, have led the way. I mean, other groups have done some good work in that respect now too, but you've been doing it for a lot longer, I think.
Well, like I said, it's a bit like a flywheel. I mean, when we announced that in 2001, right, and we said the ultimate goal of the organization is to increase the compensation and personal fulfillment of frontline travel advisor. They're like, well, wait a minute, you want to know what I pay people and whether they're happy or not? And I said, no, guys, what we need to do is we need to make sure that this career can compete with other serious careers, because without that, that's a single point of failure.
Now, we talked about your global expansion, and who is there a global client for Virtuoso services, and can you describe that client?
It's such a timely question, because I just sat around a big table with some of our newest Asian members, right? And there really are. I mean, I remember, 5 years ago, there are a lot of Europeans say, oh, don't bother going to Europe because it's all tour operator and verticals and so on. And they're right. There's absolutely all these different distribution methodologies around the world. But what we have felt very strongly about is that there's a particular sector of consumers that once presented, right, with what a true travel advisor does, are like, I didn't even know that this existed. By the way, that still happens in the United States. The number one competitor to travel advisors aren't other travel advisors. It's DIY people who don't believe that there's a true travel advisor in the new sense of the word, right? And so we believe that. In London, for example, where there's all these incredible specialty operators, right? A lot of people in London go to specialty operators. If I'm going to go to India, I'm going to go to an Indian operator. So the idea of going to a generalist is like, well, how can they know? They don't have buying power. They don't have the knowledge. We pivoted the way we presented ourselves in the UK. We said, we're not generalists, we're specialists. And they're like, what do you mean you're specialists? You do everything. We're specialists in the client. Mm-hmm. They get to know you incredibly well, but then they don't have the knowledge. Well, that's why we have the Virtuoso network, because they're not going to sit there and pretend, right, to know everything. They're going to partner with our Virtuoso partners around the world. So if you want to go to Bhutan, they'll do a 3-way Skype session with the people that are going to greet you.
But even so, you think the Chinese luxury client, the American luxury client, the South American luxury client, they all have certain characteristics in common?
But see, that's the beauty, that what I love about this business and what I love about this. At its core, what we try to do at Virtuoso, at our core, we try to kind of focus on those kind of centralized core things, right? The networking, the relationships, the information, the quality control. But then each individual advisor, each individual agency goes to market in their own unique way. I mean, I just spoke to one of our members from Stockholm last night who just told me that because she's only been Virtuoso for 18 months, and there were these very high-end credit card company, very, very high-end, that basically 4 of their people, once they became Virtuoso, left the call center environment because they just didn't find it fulfilling, and came to join her in Stockholm because they were Virtuoso, because both of her culture, but also being able to plug into the Virtuoso network globally.
Okay. Now the last question is, you're expanding. What is your global strategy for expansion heading forward?
Well, first of all, as IATA, if you look at all the data, right? I mean, IATA has already said that by 2035, the number of international travelers is going to, flyers is going to double from 3.8 billion to 7.2 billion. So what I keep telling our members is we need to grow as big as we possibly can be, as long as we don't lose our values and our ability to be effective and our ability to not tarnish the brand from the perspective of what we can deliver to the consumer.
Well, congratulations, Matthew. It's been another great symposium, and we'll be talking to you more in another interview about some of the other things that went on, but good luck with the global expansion, and once again, it's been great to be here.
Thank you so much, James.
I'm James Shillinglaw for Insider Travel Videos.